Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my little gardening show. I'm doing some lazy YouTube. What I wanted to do is take you along. We're in the midst of starting our seedlings for the garden this spring, summer. And I've got some peppers underway. We got some tomato seedlings, hopefully seedlings, basically tomato seeds, some potted up, planted. Some brassicas, they're under different set of grow lights here, but tonight I want to pot up the rest of my peppers. So we've got a couple trays we'll be doing. So let me show you my setup real quick. Take you off the tripod here. So first things first, the potting mix. I've got a couple tools here that are real handy. One is this muck bucket that I got at Rural King a while back, and then a scoop there. But I've got a couple different things I put in there. I've got Pro Mix, worm castings. I got this Get Green organic fertilizer, a couple tablespoons of that. I think it's yeah, it's a tablespoon per gallon of mix. So about 4 tablespoons. I mix up small batches, enough to fit in one of these concrete mixing trays. I got this years ago when we were redoing the steps, and it's perfect for making soil blocks. So basically, once my soil mix is mixed up, I've got a drill. It's got a mix in it all saturated, so it's the consistency of mortar mix. Now, try to get the rootstock clean. I try to make sure that the mix is not super saturated, so it's easier to separate things out. But I try to get everything separated out. Pick the ones that have the best rootstock and seem to be uniform and all of that. And then there's enough space in these blocks, I can just kind of stand them up in there and put a clump of potting mix, kind of like how I did these, to seal them in. I did all this last night. A lot of advantages. Blocks. Air pruning. So as the plants get situated and they start putting roots down through that block, they hit air going out that way, and then it'll stimulate them to start creating all these little capillary roots. So you end up with a denser rootstock, root ball. That whole soil block will fill up with roots, and then little capillary roots, which enables the plants to take up even more nutrients and stuff like that. So they end up being a healthier overall. So that's the goal. And then once if I see that the soil block's a limiting factor and there's still time, I'll pot them up to a bigger pot. But this should help me save some space, because I do have a little bit of a constraint here in this grow room for all the things I want to do. But typically in a tray like this, I'll have 20 to 30 viable seedlings. This one's a little delayed. The other ones I potted up early, was having to choose between, equally good plants, and then transferred them over. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. I'm going to be digging these out and take you along for that. So with that being said, let's angle things here so you can kind of see the action. So I've got my plants here. What I'm going to do is just move this aside temporarily to give me some space. Maybe get something here that I can put the plants on that, dig out. I'm just going to take the edge of this tool and just come along the side here, kind of gently lift up and try to lift that seedling out. Now the reason why I'm wanting to put them in individual blocks rather than let them just keep growing in here is because in here they're going to be competing for nutrients, and eventually everything's going to be all root bound, which I don't want. So there's a seedling here, and it's got a pretty decent root stock. You know, the root stock is about as big as the top growth there, so that's pretty good. There's a fair amount of main roots coming out of there. You know, we'll have a couple like that. I may not have enough viable seedlings out of this to do a full set of 16 plants, but that's okay. We've got plenty of peppers. You can see all the other peppers I've already got. So again, we're just kind of gently massage this down. The soil is a little damper than what I like, but it's okay. There's another one that's pretty decent. Also, I'll try to handle them by the seed leaf there. So if I break that, I'm not really damaging the plant that much because there's true leaves getting ready to come out. The main thing is you don't want to bend the stem and you don't want to break the roots if you can help it. So I'm trying to be gentle as I'm pulling stuff away. Some of these little ones we'll just lay aside. Maybe do something there. Maybe I'll pot them up, give them a chance, see what happens. Some of them it's pretty evident, you know, they're not going to, you know, something's wrong with the plant, like it was just maybe something wrong with the seed, you know. Particularly if you're using like old seed stock, you know, it takes longer for the seeds to come out of dormancy. That's kind of what's happening here. These are seeds from like, I think 2019. So it just took a long time for them to wake up and start growing. Whereas, you know, if this was from like seeds saved a year prior or whatever, they're typically going to germinate or sprout faster, and maybe be, you know, probably more vigorous because there's more nutrients in that little seed that haven't been used. Because even though the seed's dormant, it's still using a small amount of, you know, of energy to stay alive. You know, here's one that was just sprouting, you know, and it looks okay, but concern for a lot of these smaller ones is that we just don't have enough time for them to get to where they need to be. You know, the rootstock's a lot weaker on the, like, just one little root, whereas on these larger ones that were planted at the same time, you know, so like these seeds were planted at the same time. You get this one here, look how far along that is and how developed it is compared to this one. Not saying that this one couldn't necessarily grow, but chances are this one's going to be the more viable one. You know, if I had to choose between the two to pot up, you know, and invest additional time, resources, I would go with this one as opposed to this one. Now, I don't know if you can see, but, you know, there's like a little bit of a green mold scum on here, and that's fine. It's pretty harmless. And that's because things are real moist. I tried to use that the fan here to just keep the air circulating. That's one lesson I learned a while back. Is because now that I have two grow lights, basically a double setup, and two heat mats, when it gets above 70 degrees outside, it can get really warm in here, and I need some air circulation. So a lot of times I'll keep the door open to the grow room and have this fan going just to keep the air moving to reduce the chance of like gray mold. I think it was it last year before? I started a bunch of tomatoes from a buddy, Tom, Frugal Prepper, who may be watching. Anyway, I had a problem with gray mold and had to prune the heck out of his tomatoes to keep it under control. I think things for the most part still did okay for him, but it was a little bit of a pain getting those seedlings sprouted and where they needed to be for him. So I've got maybe two more seedlings to dig out of this tray that I would, or maybe one more. So this is what we got, a variety of different peppers. These are all King of the North bell peppers. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 really valuable plants. The rest are kind of lagging behind. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to move my soil back in place here. And we're going to grab some of this mix over here you can't see. It's all still moist. Now there are more efficient ways of doing stuff. If like I was growing on a larger scale, I wouldn't be doing things like this. I'd be doing it a little different, a little more efficiently, but there's a little pocket here in the blocks. And I'm just going to try to stand that sucker up without destroying my block. If I need more support on one side, just grab a little more. But there it is. Let's pot it up pretty well. And we're just going to keep working that. Some mix. Now there may be a little bit of overlap, like when these grow, because Some of the mix is touching, but there's still the gap between the blocks. The other thing that'll happen a lot of times when you pot up, you know, your seedlings and stuff, depending on how far along they are, they can get a little bit of transplant shock, you know, where the change in temperature, this change of environment can shock the plants, take them a while to get adjusted to their new environment. Being smaller like this, you know, like my other pepper seedlings here, you can see they've adjusted right away. Initially, I think it was the jalapenos that are the furthest along. They were all kind of like droopy when I transplanted them last night. And then the next morning they were all standing up straight and everything was good. Now what you can do, you know, if you're the plants are experiencing that, you can give them a little boost of nitrogen. You know, so like when I'm transplanting stuff out in the garden, if I'm disturbing the root ball a lot, you know, whatever, I'll go ahead and feed the plants a little bit of nitrogen fertilizer. You just give them a little boost to help them, and that seems to do well. So right now the plan is I've got about 16, or plan on having about 16 of each variety, with the exception of maybe the King of the North. Maybe I'm going to have 8 of the King of the North and maybe 8 of the Corno de Toro. Make this kind of a split tray and then see what happens. You know, we're going to scale back the garden a little bit this year, just simply because I don't have the help. We're kind of in this time at the season of life where a lot of stuff is in transition. And oh, buddy, my boy James Hall. At least I think that's James. Appreciate you stopping by, man. What am I planting? Well, I've got red Thai chilies. I've got some cayenne peppers. I got some jalapenos. So these are my red Thais. They're looking strong, looking healthy. Those are the true leaves coming out. Cayenne peppers here. Oh, you want some salsa? I see. I believe these are my red Marconis. These are really big, nice roasted pepper. You can see here I had 12 really good seedlings and then 4 that were kind of lagging behind, but I went ahead and planted them anyway. We'll see what happens. And then we're in the process of doing our just our bell peppers tonight. Getting these potted up. And they're a little slow, a little late to the party here. These are little, I mean, they're and then I've got my tomatoes here. And I got some cooler weather stuff. I'm starting late, some cabbage and kale and stuff. Cabbage, actually the blue scotch kale's already sprouted. We're getting that going. So anyway, probably next 3 weeks, man, this room's gonna be filled with plants, and then we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do, how much we're gonna plant, what we're gonna keep, maybe what we're gonna give away, what we're gonna do. But anywho, man, we just in a time of life where things are changing, kids are getting older, graduation's coming up, transition, don't have as much help on certain things, and just gonna have to. You only have so much time, and relationships are more important. I love the garden and stuff like that, but I gotta prioritize relationships and just being there, making sure we're there to support the kids, be there for like the kind of these important events and stuff, and try to find that balance. So consequently, I've been trying to squeeze in my gardening time after hours. Like it's after 10. Potting these up, doing a little bit each night. Trying to keep things going. So I'll probably finish potting this up, and then I'll be done. Yeah, hero stuff. Yes. So yeah, that's what we're doing, man. Just trying to find that balance, make sure everything's we're focusing on the things we need to focus on, doing the right things at the right time. But still planning on a garden for sure. It's gonna be small, it's gonna be different, but we'll try to keep things going. Lord willing, there'll be other times, where I'm sure I'll have more time, or more time to spend on it or whatever. But right now it is what it is. So, anywho, buddy, if you want any plants, I can hook you up. If you just want the finished product, the salsa, I can hook you up on that as well. We'll, Lord willing, definitely have some salsa this year. We had a fair amount this last year. I'm still eating on. We're still eating on quite a bit from last year. So worst case scenario, if we don't have as prosperous of a year, or as productive of a year rather, I've still got a lot of stuff from last year that's canned and put up that we can still eat on. But definitely, I foresee making at least one big batch of salsa, so I'll hook you up with some jars. But anywho, that's what we're up to tonight. I'll have to try to make some more videos as we go along, and take you along as getting ready for the upcoming season. So we'll have to catch up here at some point. I'm gonna jump off here and we'll finish this and then hit the hay. So we'll catch y'all later. Catch you later, James. Till next time. Happy gardening. Bye.